If you missed it yesterday in Dana White's Contender series, some weird stuff happened on the TV broadcast that was brought to my attention, and I'm going to discuss it in today's video. My name is James Lynch. So Marcel Dorff, one of the best journalists in the sport, best newsbreaker in my opinion in MMA, had this tweet out here, which I thought was really interesting. Now, I didn't catch this because when it comes to Contender series, I kind of just go back and watch things, but Marcel says, for some reason, the betting with Gianni is cut out of the broadcast on both Fight Pass and HBO Max in the Netherlands. No idea why. So you see some people here in the comments, and again, let me know in the comments too if you watched yesterday, if you're not in the US, if they were cutting out betting lines and betting talk, which is a bit odd. Now we'll get into the whole betting thing in a second here. Matchmaker, one of the best news guys as well, says same in Canada. Adam Martin says I see it on Sportsnet Plus in Canada. El Fuego making some jokes here. We got an American obviously chiming in, I think he's American, chiming in saying that he's actually seeing the betting lines, but as you can see, he's from the United States. So they were seeing what we normally see, which is the betting lines from Yanni and sort of the bet stuff. Marcel replying saying, we don't see this. We're getting a bunch of extra commercials. So there's that, just a bunch of promos. This guy chimes in here, same on Fight Pass in Canada. They also don't show lines on the fight. Very annoying. Now, this guy chimes in here, Fight Sports Insider, and says it's only because advertising for gambling is restricted in the Netherlands. Only operators with Dutch license can do this. They are also not allowed to do any more TV ads, etc. Marcel says, did this change recently because they showed it all the time? So it seems like that's something that's happening in the Netherlands. I'm not aware of this in Canada. I obviously live in Canada. This is not something I noticed at all. I did not watch Contender Series live last night, so I didn't even notice until someone had mentioned these tweets to me as well. MMA Alien chimes in, says it's been happening in Australia as well. I figured it was just a coincidence, but I guess they're just censoring it. Now, I understand, obviously, them showing different broadcasts. This goes back to the Paramount deal with the fact that, like, in Canada, we don't watch the fights on Paramount. We watch it on Sportsnet or Fight Pass, or there's, a few other ways to watch it. But I understand that side of things looking a little bit different. For example, the Paramount broadcast that you guys see in the US, we don't see that in Canada, some of the stuff that's on there. But they're not censoring it. It's just weird that they would cut the mic out and do that. So, yeah, there's just some weird stuff happening here as well. Did it in the UK also, watching on Fight Pass. Maybe it was just a glitch. Hope you're doing well. So it looks like it's happening in the UK, Netherlands, Canada. Adam Martin follows up on this as well. Another great journalist in our sport here. Looks like they have cut out Yanni's mic on the Canadian broadcast. Marcel told me they did the same thing for the Netherlands. What gives? They cut out all the betting lines over here. Bunch of, let us decide on our own what we want to don't watch. I mean, it could be a licensing thing, but that's pretty weird for that to happen. Now, as you guys know, when it comes to betting lines and everything like that, there's certain sports books here in Canada we don't have access to. And to go even further on that, there are, sports books that we can't even use. Like, I live in Vancouver. I can't use DraftKings. I can't use FanDuel. I can't use other, sports books that most people are used to using. In fact, most of the sports books we can't use here in Canada. The ones that I know that I'm able to use here in British Columbia, Ozune I'm allowed to use. That's one. Bet99 is one that I can use. But there's a lot of restrictions on the rest of them, because if you go to sign up, it says, it's not available in your region. And I know sports betting just kind of got legalized in certain districts in the US as well. Like, it's still relatively new. I understand that part of thing, but it's just weird that they're not actually showing it on the UFC broadcast. Like, why would that matter unless some government thing has come down? But this is news to me. I've not been aware of this. I understand betting books not being available to the average audience, but I do not understand why they would be cutting out actual betting information on the broadcast. Like, there's tons of sports that show betting lines that here in Canada we don't have access to. So what's the difference? Is it like, are they worried that it's going to influence people? I'm not entirely sure. So something to certainly keep an eye on. This does seem like it's relatively new. Obviously, we get a lot of people chiming in, not on the actual point, but dunking on Yanni here for his picks, which understandable. People are allowed to have their opinion. Magic M, who's based in Spain, says same thing. So this is something that it looks like it's happening internationally and not in the US. So it looks like if you're in the US and you're watching UFC Fight Pass, or if you're in the US and you're watching Dana White's Contender Series, you are going to be, watching these betting lines and these betting plays and all that, but it looks like elsewhere you're not. So if you're watching this video, let me know in the comments, depending on what region you're from. If you're outside the US, let me know if you experience the same thing, because this is new. And you would think as well that maybe the UFC would mention something about this, about the fact that it's blocked. They didn't mention anything to Canadians about, the pay-per-views still that you have to pay for them, that you still have to pay for the numbered events. They didn't do that. So wouldn't surprise me if this was something that just added in here and is sort of like a geo block, and then now, and people didn't know about it. So something to keep in mind. I mean, it doesn't affect me that much. Like, I usually just look, like, you can still bet on Dana White's Contender Series here in Canada, where I live in Vancouver. There's certain books that have the lines. There's no issue there. It's just the fact that they're like censoring it on the actual broadcast, which I think is a little bit odd. So yeah, something to keep an eye on for sure. Yeah, I don't really know the reason for that. Again, I've worked in the television industry. I've heard of like geo blocking like certain content that isn't allowed. Maybe with betting, there's like that guy mentioned, maybe there's like a licensing thing. But then why was it working before? Why was this never an issue? Like, basically since they started, I mean, I think since the beginning of Dana White's Contender Series, they've always had betting lines in there, right? Or very, I mean, at the very least over the last, I don't know, 6 years for sure, they've been pushing the betting stuff. So to me, it just seems a bit odd that there's no like mention of it or any, like, I do wonder if, I mean, I doubt media will ask it, but if I was at the event this week in Shanghai, I'd ask about that. Like, I wonder if this is going to extend to the UFC as well, because they do some betting stuff on the UFC broadcast. Is this something that will be impacting that? I do wonder that going forward, because again, it's a big part of the sport now, is the betting side of things, both for good and bad. I mean, I like it because I do enjoy betting on the fights. I think it's interesting. I mean, I'm not like not betting my house or anything, but I think it adds a little bit more to the to the broadcast and everything. So it'd be a bit weird that this sort of came through and they're kind of cutting people out of the situation. Like Marcel mentioned, right? Like, he's watching it on Fight Pass and HBO Max in the Netherlands. If you want to watch it in the US, it's on Paramount. If you want to watch it in Canada, it's on Sportsnet. Although the Sportsnet deal, like I mentioned, is going to be, or it looks like Paramount's going to be airing the events, or they are going to be airing the events in Canada in 2027. So no more paying for pay-per-views. But yeah, in case Americans have been living under a rock, Canadians are still paying for the numbered events. I've been paying my, whatever it is, $80 an event to do that. And I know there'll be people in the comments being like, oh, you can just watch it on like crack streams or whatever. But you got to remember, I got to do this for a living. So I need to have a good stream. I don't want to rely on, Joe Schmo streaming something for me. So yeah, I don't think we're missing much from the betting analysis here. Like, that's not really what I'm concerned about. I'm more concerned that things are being censored. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And again, I'm doing this video, so maybe you guys know the answer. You've heard something, but I've not heard anything as to why this is taking place and why they are censoring certain things here. So, yeah, something to keep in mind. I'll maybe try and keep an eye out this weekend on the Shanghai card. And if I had to guess, I think the Shanghai card here in Canada is not airing on Sportsnet because it's on at a weird time. I think it would probably just be on Fight Pass only. So that's something to keep in mind too, which is another annoying part of the TV deal. Like, everything should be consistent, right? I shouldn't have to go look for things. And I actually canceled my Fight Pass subscription recently because I used to watch it for a lot of the regional shows, and they've dropped a lot of those events now. So there's not really a whole lot of incentive to tune in. I can still watch the pay-per-views on Fight Pass. So I still have access to my account. I'm just blocked from everything else. So yeah, something to keep in mind here. Betting lines on Dana White's Contender Series. Keep an eye out for that. So let me know in the comments if you're not from the US. Let me know if you experienced this as well, if there were things that were censored or cut or taken off the broadcast. We'd love to hear from you. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @Lynch on Sports. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.